a website has recently appeared entitled Visit Liminal Land. This mysterious website claims there was a theme park back in the 1980s that wanted to dethrone Disneyland, but closed due to some very strange circumstances with its guests. This website has confronting imagery, investigation tapes, and even password-protected areas meant only for those that dug deep enough. What is this mysterious website? Is it even real, or is this a hoax? Let's dive into this internet mystery and find out. Liminal Land opened its doors in 1975 with huge ambitions to become America's grandest amusement park. It was developed by a company called Charon Corporation, standing by the slogan, "Set out to push the boundaries." Lake Valley was where the first park was built, and even though it had a small population, the park became very popular very quickly. It was believed this is due to the strange look of the park, with the rides resembling emotions. The park also contained a massive underground suburbia. During the 80s, people from all over America came to Liminal Land, and records claim Disneyland and other theme parks were relatively empty during the peak times of Liminal Land. All seemed well at Liminal Land, but something strange was going on in the park. Guests every now and then would go missing, and there was quite frequent accidents, many being fatal. Regardless, there was never any investigations into the park, and inspections were inside jobs from the park's employers, so no outside source was allowed to inspect the rides, etc. Each time a tragedy struck, the park would close for the day and reopen again the next, brushing it all off. For 14 years, Liminal Land operated in this obscure way, and people just overlooked the events as situations of unfortunate bad luck and kept on coming. Strangely, in 1989, the park was abruptly closed. People assumed another one of these strange incidents had occurred, but the park didn't open the next day, or the next week, or year. It was announced by Charon Corp eventually that the park was closed permanently and never gave an official reasoning for the closure. The weirdest thing of all is the day the park closed, it's rumoured the guests inside never exited, deepening this mystery further. The website seems to be dedicated to those that were lost to the park and wants to expose the truth behind what really happened at Liminal Land. As you dig a little deeper into the website, you begin to realize something extremely sinister was going on at Liminal Land. In every photo ever taken, the faces of the guests were distorted and deformed. An investigation tape from the New Mexico State Police was leaked, explaining there was actually an anomaly at the park. And once the guests went on the rides, their facial structure would change over time to something barely recognisable. The local news were not allowed to do a segment on this, as the state police felt the imagery would scare the general public. It's time we take a look together at some of these victims and how their faces actually changed. Rick Ackerman visited Liminal Land in July of 1988 with his wife and 3 children. At some point, he snuck away from his family to ride the Anomaly roller coaster. His body was later found in the park, and an illustration was drawn up by the coroner showing the deformation in his face. Viewer discretion is advised. This photograph was the last time Rick was ever seen alive. Lena Sorensen brought her first grade class to Liminal Land in the winter of 1984. Lena took the children to the park's Paradise playrooms, but after only 7 minutes, Lena then snuck away, leaving the children for 8 hours alone. A few days later, Lena's body was discovered in a patch of dirt behind the Anomaly roller coaster. Here is an illustration of Lena's deformation. Our last victim, Maria Ramos, arrived at Liminal Land alone in November of 1982, hoping to have an enjoyable day to herself. She first went on the wheel ride, to then moving over to the Anomaly roller coaster. Now the strange thing is, the roller coaster was supposed to be closed for repairs on that day, yet somehow it was started up and a woman was seen by employees riding the coaster on her own. The reason the ride was closed that day was because it had an inability to stop and just kept on going. That day, Marina rode the coaster for 26 minutes straight. Here's the illustration of Maria's face after the ride was forcefully stopped. When looking through the known attractions at Liminal Land, we can see there are 2 rides that are marked as unknown. My guess is one of these is the Anomaly roller coaster that has ended more than a few lives. Now, as I mentioned, Liminal Land has a huge suburbia, advertised with the title, Welcome Home, hinting the point that you can live at Liminal Land without needing to go home at all. I mean, why not? You have all the food you can eat, meet heaps of guests at the park. All the fun in the world is literally at your doorstep. In a found company training video at 2 minutes and 50 seconds, there is an obscure text that flashes for a moment that reads this: "We hope this tape has helped to prepare you to keep visitors here for as long as possible." Seems this part of the tape was supposed to be removed, further supporting the sinister intent of Chiron wanting its guests to never leave Liminal Land. Something else caught my eye right at the end of the company training tape. When you're ready, inform your manager to initiate course 7 with passcode right. In my excitement, I believed I had possibly found the password to the hidden part of the website. I knew I needed access to discover more of the truth, but to my dismay, right was incorrect. So as you do, I took to Reddit to find an answer, and of course, someone had cracked it. I had half of it right. The full password was rite of passage. The Redditor had apparently guessed the last part. Now it was time to see the hidden content I was waiting for. What I found, I certainly was not expecting. Molech, the reviled pagan deity of child sacrifice. The cult of Molech is said to have boiled children alive in the bowels of the big bronze statue, sacrificing them to the deity. Molech was even mentioned in the Bible, and people were warned not to allow their children to be offered to Molech. Now we pretty much have the reason as to why Chiron Corp is running Liminal Land. Are they really worshippers of Molech? Are they attempting to use the children that visit the park as a sacrifice to the deity? As for the adults, are they sacrificed as well, or just tossed aside? You can see why a theme park would make great cover-up stories. Also, is the deformation in the faces all part of this deity's doing as well? Is this how they are sacrificed? Taking a bit of a look at the logo down the bottom of the website, it also shows 5 people holding hands, yet one of them has lost their head. Does this mean 1 in 5 people are sacrificed to Molech? Who is actually running this website? Well, this wouldn't be a debunking series if I didn't know, now would it? These 2 gentlemen here are responsible for the creation of Visit Liminal Land. And no, they're not from some child sacrificing cult that worship the deity Molech. They're both YouTubers and they're actually very well known in the horror community. Liminal Land is in fact an ARG created for the community to discover and explore this actually very fascinating story. Relying on liminal spaces and analog horror along with the use of AI generation for the faces, this fantastically made concept would leave unsuspecting visitors in horror. Well, there you have it everybody. Liminal Land is officially debunked. In saying that, I would advise all of you that are into ARGs and that kind of liminal space concept to go and check out visitliminalland.net. It is a very interesting website to explore. Maybe you can even spook an unsuspecting friend with the website and tell them the dark stories of Liminal Land.